We have another graph question, so that means we should focus on the graph. I would say that the passage here might be helpful. It might confirm for us what the graph says, but I don't think it's necessary. Yet again, they're really talking about what's going on with mean appreciation based on the graph. So that is the thing to focus on. What is the graph saying? And as we do this, we really want to kind of rely on a dumb summary, or maybe another way to put it is we should just narrow our focus, right? These are different strategies that we can use to remind ourselves how to interpret what we're looking at. The graph has the information. So look at what's given on the graph. That should be it. So the authors would likely attribute the differences in gift giver and recipient mean appreciation as represented in the graph too. So what's causing it? Well, we have different levels for the giver and the recipient. An inability to shift perspective. Well, they're talking about their different roles. So they have different roles, and maybe that has something to do with their perspective. At this point, I don't know, but let's keep going. An increasingly materialistic culture. Do they really say anything about the culture here on this graph? They didn't really say anything in the passage either. It's not about people buying too much stuff. This is random, but again, that's not really reflected on the graph. C, growing opposition to gift giving. Again, this is not something that's on the graph. How do I know what people think of gift giving in general? I don't. The appreciation is of a gift. So it's just not on the graph. And then D, a misunderstanding of intentions. Well, I can see the different people's perspectives, right? You have the perspective of the giver or the recipient, the role of a giver or of a recipient. But what is someone's intentions? That's not on the graph. I don't know what the giver intended based on this information here. I do know that they had a perspective, a role, and that seems to affect how they appreciate or expected the appreciation of the gift. So A is the answer, and look, they do say this in the passage. I didn't give you the passage here because I wanted to make a point about how if we trust the process on these graph questions, we can pretty much get them all right just using the graph. They do say it though. They talk about it in I think the last few questions of this passage where they talk about the way that gift givers think that more expensive gifts will mean more appreciation, but that the recipient does not see things that way. And so it is not about their intentions. It's not like they're intending to, manipulate or anything. Like I feel like that's a very negative choice. They're not doing that. They're just, a more expensive gift means like I care more, right? So it's an inability to think about what you would see if you were receiving the gift. That's the point. So look, this requires a little bit of trust in the process, but I do think this is especially helpful if you can get that trust when you are dealing with graph questions on the last passage where you might be running out of time and you need to start skipping around and jumping to things. You may not be able to read the passage, but you can still get these points pretty quickly in those last few minutes. And so that's why I think this matters so much and why I push this, is I really want you to see this as a pacing strategy if you need it. If you have the time, though, feel free to read. I don't think it's the end of the world. But my point is, you don't need to.